In the vastness of the universe of ideas, philosophical inquiries are akin to twinkling stars that illuminate the darkness of the unknown. Amidst this intellectual spectacle, a constellation of insight and inquiry emerges from Lewis's 37 phrases, inviting us to delve into the most profound mysteries of human existence. Portals to a journey of reflection and discovery are provided by these succinct yet impactful words. The nature of truth, morality, and existence itself is revealed by these phrases. What are their methods for compelling us to reconsider our own beliefs and explore the intricacies of human thought? This analysis will reveal the capabilities of these C.S. Lewis employs phrases and investigates the universal truths they disclose. 1. Everything changes. Nothing ever stays the same. This quote pertains to a captivating and frequently paradoxical aspect of the human experience: our perception of change and the nature of time. The initial phrase of the statement, "Nothing remains the same, everything changes," is a fundamental truth that is present in numerous facets of the universe in existence. From the laws of physics, which demonstrate that the universe is perpetually in a state of evolution and change, to the transformations in society, technology, and our personal lives, change is an inherent reality. The second portion of the quote, "Isn't it amusing how nothing changes on a daily basis, but everything is different when you reflect on it?" concerns our perception of time and change in the short and long term. Because we are engrossed in our daily routines, changes may appear insignificant or imperceptible. However, from a retrospective perspective, it is frequently evident that all have undergone a significant transformation. 2. There are far better things ahead than the ones you leave behind, inviting us to consider the future with a positive outlook. This phrase is a call to optimism and hope. In spite of the losses or obstacles we encounter, the future is brimming with opportunities and pleasures that transcend what has been abandoned. In moments of transition or loss, this notion can be especially reassuring, as it serves as a reminder that the conclusion of one chapter in our lives creates an opportunity for the commencement of another, potentially more fulfilling and enriching journey. The importance of not becoming overly fixated on the past or material possessions is also discussed by Lewis, as well as the transitory nature of life. An excessive attachment to the past can impede our ability to completely embrace new opportunities and experiences. The concept of "the best is yet to come" serves as a reminder to maintain an open mind and heart to the boundless possibilities that the future has to offer. 3. Nothing in life is ours to keep. This concept may be interpreted in a variety of ways. From a material perspective, it implies that the act of sharing with others and generosity can enhance our own life experience, granting a sense of purpose and satisfaction that cannot be achieved through the simple accumulation of material possessions. On a more profound level, it can be contended that the fullness of life can only be experienced through generosity and altruism. Lewis may be addressing a more significant spiritual or philosophical truth, which is that true liberation and fulfillment are achieved by transcending selfishness and excessive attachment to material possessions, as it is in giving that we receive. We can obtain a more profound and enduring sense of possession and belonging by connecting with something greater than ourselves and opening ourselves to others. 4. Give up yourself, and you will find your real self. This notion, which is frequently examined in spiritual and philosophical contexts, implies that the genuine essence of our identity can only be discovered by renunciating superficial desires, pretensions, and the ego. Lewis advocates for the exploration of identity beyond the layers that are imposed by societal norms and our own personality. By relinquishing oneself, he signifies the act of removing these superficial layers in order to uncover the authentic self that is present at a more profound level. This suggests that a process of detachment from material desires, selfish ambitions, and the relentless pursuit of external approbation is necessary to establish a connection with more genuine and enduring values. 5. Don't doubt your value. Don't run from who you are. Lewis posits that our existence and essence are of immeasurable value inherently, as we are divine creations, irrespective of the ideals we may hold or the way we compare ourselves to others. This viewpoint prompts us to acknowledge and appreciate the distinctiveness of ourselves and the unique value we can bring to the world. Additionally, Lewis is advocating for us to confront and embrace our authentic selves, including all of their flaws and virtues, by stating, "Don't run from who you are." His suggestion is that a life that is both fulfilling and meaningful is contingent upon authenticity and self-acceptance. This acceptance is not merely about acknowledging our qualities. It also involves embracing our faults and limitations, acknowledging that they are fundamental to our individuality. 6. If you find in yourself desires which nothing in this world can satisfy, the only logical explanation is that you were made for another world. Lewis speaks to the common experience of many individuals that there is a sense of emptiness or yearning within them that worldly pleasures and satisfactions are unable to fully satisfy. The conclusion that such insatiable desires indicate a reality or existence beyond what is known and experienced in the physical world may result from this perception. Human existence is suggested to have a purpose and significance that transcends earthly experiences and everyday life by the notion that we were created for an alternate world. This viewpoint is derived from numerous spiritual and religious traditions, which regard life on earth as a journey or preparation for a spiritual or superior reality. 7. You don't have a soul. You are a soul. You have a body. Lewis challenges the prevailing belief that typically emphasizes the material and physical aspects of human identity, redefining it to prioritize the soul or spiritual essence. By underscoring that you are a soul, Lewis motivates us to acknowledge our true identity as spiritual beings, with the physical body serving as a temporary container. This viewpoint transfers the emphasis from material possessions and physical attributes to the fundamental essence of our identity on a spiritual, deeper level. By asserting that you are a soul, Lewis emphasizes the eternal significance and primacy of the soul in contrast to the temporary and transitory physical body. This viewpoint is consistent with numerous religious and philosophical traditions that regard the body as a transitory container for the soul, which is the genuine essence of existence. The concept that each of you will continue to exist after the physical universe disintegrates is indicative of the conviction that the soul's existence extends beyond physical mortality. Lewis posits that the genuine essence of our being is transcendent of the constraints of time and physical space, indicating an eternal and unchanging spiritual reality. 8. Don't shine so others can see you. Shine so that through you, others can see God. The Christian concept of testimony is the foundation of this concept, which posits that an individual's existence serves as a beacon or mirror that reflects the light of God to the world. Lewis recommends that we strive to live in a manner that enables others to observe divinity, virtue, and truth that transcend our individual existence, rather than pursuing personal glory through our actions, words, and even our presence. This viewpoint encourages a lifestyle that is characterized by authenticity, generosity, and service, in addition to shifting the emphasis from the self to the other, and ultimately to the divine. Our existence is characterized by humility and altruism, as we are summoned to shine not for our own benefit, but to enlighten the path to God. We acknowledge that our most significant contribution may be to assist others in making their own connection to the sacrosanct. 9. Hardships often prepare ordinary people for an extraordinary destiny. Lewis argues that challenges and adversities are not merely worthless obstacles, but rather instruments of growth and preparation. We have the capacity to be transformed by challenges, which have the ability to refine our virtues and shape our character in a manner that prosperity and easy living simply cannot. This growth process through adversity frequently equips us with the capacity to assume more significant roles and responsibilities, resulting in destinies that far exceed our initial circumstances. Lewis references the idea that there is a divine order and purpose behind life's events, even those that appear negative at first glance, by stating that God permits these experiences of low points. It is believed that the lessons acquired through adversity are indispensable to our spiritual and personal growth, as they impart qualities such as perseverance, compassion, humility, and reliance on a force that is greater than oneself. The concept that God does not require anyone to wait unless it is advantageous for them to do so is indicative of a belief that God's timing is impeccable, even if we are unable to comprehend it instantaneously. In contrast to the perception of emptiness or meaningless inactivity, patience and waiting are viewed as opportunities for internal development and preparation for the anticipated future. Lewis thus urges us to regard challenges and periods of waiting not as abandonments, but as essential components of a broader scheme that guides us toward an extraordinary destiny. 10. Experience is the most brutal of teachers. Lewis emphasizes the frequently unforgiving and harsh nature of real life as a learning vehicle by characterizing experience as the most brutal of teachers. Unlike theoretical or academic learning, experience teaches us through successes and more frequently through failures, losses, and challenges. The enduring of these moments can be challenging and painful. However, they are also immensely effective in the development of character, resilience, and wisdom. The second clause of the phrase, "But you learn, my God, do you learn?" underlines the efficacy of this form of education, either in spite of or as a result of its savagery. Passive instruction rarely accomplishes the same level of internalization as the lessons learned through experience, which are deeply ingrained in the mind due to the direct experience of consequences, whether positive or negative. 11. Repeated failures are finger posts on the road to achievement. Lewis posits that each failure serves as a lesson and a guide, indicating the need for adjustments and changes in our approaches, strategies, or even in our comprehension. When he refers to failures as finger posts, providing critical insights that assist us in navigating the path toward our objectives, these finger posts enlighten the way. The concept of failing forward is particularly potent, as it suggests that each failure, rather than regressing, actually pushes us forward, bringing us closer to success. This occurs as a result of the learning, adaptation, and development that occur as a result of our failures. Encouraging a mindset of resilience and persistence, this concept views obstacles as opportunities for growth and advancement. 12. You are never too old to set another goal or to dream a new dream. Lewis challenges the idea that age serves as an impediment to the pursuit of aspirations, objectives, and ambitions. His emphasis is on the limitless potential of human beings to reinvent themselves and pursue new paths, irrespective of their current stage in life. This concept is an invitation to abjure the self-imposed constraints and social expectations that frequently accompany the aging process. Lewis proposes that there is always scope for new beginnings and opportunities, rather than perceiving old age as a time to slow down or abandon new endeavors. Those who may feel that they have missed opportunities or that it is too late to pursue passions or interests that have been set aside may find this particularly inspiring. The capacity to fantasize and aspire is not restricted by age. As Lewis essentially reminds us, the purpose of this message is to motivate us to persist in our pursuit of growth, fulfillment, and pleasure throughout our lives, embracing the continuous process of discovery and renewal. 13. Don't let your happiness depend on something you may lose. This phrase evokes a profound contemplation of the nature of happiness and the significance of establishing it in enduring and intrinsic aspects of life, as opposed to external and transient ones. Lewis urges us to reevaluate the sources of our pleasure and satisfaction, cautioning against relying on factors that are external to our control and can be easily altered or lost, such as material possessions, social status, or even specific relationships. Lewis advocates for the pursuit of a more genuine and resilient contentment, one that is not upended by the inescapable changes and obstacles of life, by emphasizing the volatility of numerous things we hold dear. This may entail the development of internal virtues, including spirituality, gratitude, self-love, and serenity of mind, which are less responsive to external factors. 14. This world is a great sculptor's shop. Lewis illustrates personal development and transformation by utilizing the metaphor of the world as a sculptor's workshop. Life experiences, through their challenges and opportunities, mold and define us, much like a sculptor shapes and refines a statue. This analogy suggests that we are akin to unfinished statues, constantly being influenced by a variety of factors, circumstances, interactions with others, and potentially a divine influence or destiny. The ongoing process of becoming who we are intended to be is influenced by each experience, which shapes our character, develops our values, and influences our life trajectory. It is possible to interpret the notion that certain statues may come to life as a metaphor for the attainment of a state of spiritual enlightenment or awakening, in which an individual becomes entirely cognizant of their purpose, essential nature, and connection to something greater. Additionally, this may indicate a moment of personal satisfaction, in which an individual surpasses their previous limitations and emerges more authentic, alive, and fully realized. 15. We are mirrors, whose brightness, if we are bright, is wholly derived from the sun that shines upon us. Lewis, in this reflection, compares us to mirrors, implying that our value and luminosity are not inherent, but are reflected from an external source, symbolized by the sun. It is possible to interpret this source as the divine truth, beauty, or love in a spiritual context. It is our connection to this broader source that provides us with our value and radiance. In order to accurately perceive and reflect truth and beauty, it is crucial to maintain a clean and bright interior self, as Lewis emphasizes in the second part of his reflection. The divine or deeper meaning can be obscured by our defects, biases, or spiritual neglect, much like a dirty telescope can obscure the view of the moon. 16. There are two kinds of people: those who say to God, "Thy will be done," and those to whom God says, "Thy will be done." Lewis draws a distinction between those who voluntarily align with the divine will and those who are adamant about pursuing their own path, even if it diverges from God. By uttering the phrase, "Thy will be done," individuals demonstrate their willingness to yield to the wisdom and intentions of God, demonstrating their faith and confidence in the kindness of the divine. Conversely, when God declares, "Thy will be done," it is indicative of a reverence for human autonomy and the inherent repercussions of one's decisions, even if those decisions result in disconnection from Him. This emphasizes the concept of divine justice and the autonomy to determine one's chosen course. 17. I have no duty to be anyone's friend, and no man in the world has a duty to be mine. No claims, no shadow of necessity. Friendship is unnecessary, like philosophy, like art, like the universe itself. Lewis examines the essence and value of friendship, positing that it is not necessary for physical survival, but enhances the human experience. Friendship, in contrast to fundamental necessities, contributes profundity, meaning, and enjoyment to existence. Lewis emphasizes that genuine relationships should be founded on mutual choice rather than obligation, by asserting that there is no obligation in friendship. The voluntary nature and authenticity of meaningful friendships are underscored by this. The comparison with the universe's creation by God demonstrates that intrinsic value frequently centers on elegance and complexity rather than functionality. So, friendship, art, philosophy, and the universe all contribute to the enrichment of our existence beyond mere survival. 18. You will never make a good impression on other people until you stop thinking about what sort of impression you're making. Often, Lewis posits, inauthenticity is the consequence of a conscious effort to control how others perceive us. Rather than concentrating on the creation of a particular image, genuine connections are formed by being present and authentic. Meaningful relationships necessitate candor and vulnerability, which are fostered by authenticity. An excessive preoccupation with one's image can serve as an impediment to genuine interaction with others. We establish a space to be authentic by relinquishing the pressure to influence others' perceptions, which is frequently more appealing and remarkable than a meticulously crafted persona. 19. To love at all is to be vulnerable. There is a risk of suffering and loss associated with the act of loving others, as Lewis emphasizes. Exposure to potential harm is a consequence of opening our emotions to individuals, animals, or passions. However, the risk of avoiding this risk by isolating oneself is accompanied by a greater cost. A heart that is protected from pain also loses out on true love and one of the most enriching experiences of life. It is a paradox that the heart is rendered irredeemable by the endeavor to safeguard it from harm. Hardened and insensitive, a heart that never risks love loses its ability to love and be loved. 20. What draws people to be friends is that they see the same truth. The significance of intellectual and spiritual connections in the development of profound friendships is underscored by Lewis. A genuine friendship is founded on a mutual recognition and appreciation of fundamental truths, values, or ideas that transcend superficial interests or social circumstances. A solid foundation for enduring relationships is established by this shared truth, whether it is a common understanding of life, moral principles, or worldview. This mutual comprehension is the foundation of more resilient and enriching friendships, as they are founded on aspects of one's being that are deemed significant and valuable. 21. Love is a steady wish for the loved person's ultimate good. Love is redefined by C.S. Lewis as a deliberate and ongoing commitment to the pleasure and well-being of another, transcending mere emotion or physical attraction. This perspective emphasizes that love is not passive. Rather, it necessitates a consistent decision to prioritize the well-being of the loved one, even if it necessitates devotion or sacrifice. Lewis recognizes that despite our efforts to achieve the utmost good for others, we must operate within the practical constraints of our reality. By acknowledging the concept of the supreme good as attainable, given human limitations. 22. Do not waste time bothering whether you love your neighbor. Act as if you did, and you will. In contrast to being paralyzed by internal doubts about our sentiments towards others, Lewis advocates for a pragmatic approach to love, emphasizing the importance of acting with love. The concept that love is both an action and an emotion is embodied by this principle. To cultivate genuine love over time, we must choose to act lovingly, even if our emotions are not instantaneously in alignment. Many ethical and religious teachings emphasize the practice of love through deeds rather than mere sentiments, and this action-oriented approach is similar. 23. No man knows how bad he is till he has tried very hard to be good. Lewis addresses the intricacy of human nature and the self-discovery of personal character. By attempting to live ethically, he suggests that our own failures, limitations, and negative proclivities are frequently exposed when we endeavor to act ethically. Testing oneself against lofty moral standards can be a humbling experience, as it reveals the extent of our flaws and weaknesses. The genuine nature of our moral and spiritual struggles is revealed when we endeavor to live virtuously, which leads to a greater understanding of our imperfections. 24. In God, there is no hunger that needs to be filled, only plenteousness that desires to give. A profound theological perspective of God as a being of richness and perfection is examined by Lewis. In contrast to human nature, which is frequently motivated by requirements and desires, God is portrayed as possessing no deficiencies or lackings. In contrast, God's essence is defined by a desire to share his own abundance and expansive generosity. Contrary to human requirements and desires, this concept implies that God's relationship with humanity is driven by a self-sufficient and abundant love rather than any lack or need. 25. If a person thinks she is not conceited, she is very conceited indeed. In particular, Lewis emphasizes the paradoxical nature of self-perception in relation to vanity and conceit. His contention is that an excessive sense of self-assurance in one's humility can actually be a manifestation of profound hubris. Belief in one's own lack of vanity or pride frequently indicates an underlying vanity, as it implies contentment with one's purported moral superiority. True contrition necessitates an honest self-assessment and the recognition of one's own shortcomings, as opposed to their denial. 26. Pride is spiritual cancer. According to Lewis, pride is a spiritual cancer that corrodes and consumes an individual's capacity to love, find satisfaction, and exercise sound judgment. He portrays pride as a destructive force that undermines the fundamental aspects of spiritual and relational well-being, rather than a minor defect. The knowledge of God is obstructed by pride, as it establishes a self-imposed barrier that prevents access to divine realities. Lewis, by emphasizing humility and the rejection of pride, implies that the surmounting of this pernicious vice is necessary for spiritual development and genuine knowledge. 27. Only the pure in heart want to see God. The condition required for authentically seeking God and the essence of spiritual longing are encapsulated in this quote. Lewis contends that purity of heart, which is defined by sincerity, the absence of falsehood, and alignment with truth and goodness, is both a prerequisite for seeing God and the specific quality that arouses the desire to pursue Him. A genuine orientation toward values, free from distortions such as selfishness and pride, is implied by purity of spirit. Inner purification and alignment with spiritual values are the starting points of the voyage toward God, emphasizing the significance of an authentic and sincere approach to the divine. 28. Human history is the long, terrible story of a man trying to find something other than God which will make him happy. The relentless pursuit of satisfaction through earthly objects such as wealth, power, or pleasure is ultimately futile, according to C.S. Lewis, who critiques humanity's quest for happiness outside of God. He argues that genuine pleasure and tranquility are inextricably linked to a connection with the divine, and consequently, they are impossible to attain without Him. This perspective prompts us to reevaluate our pursuit of fulfillment and to recognize that genuine contentment and serenity are attained through spiritual alignment with God. 29. Forgiving does not mean excusing. Lewis draws a critical distinction between excusing and absolution. Releasing resentment and the desire for retribution is a component of forgiveness, which does not necessarily entail minimizing or justifying the offense. It acknowledges the transgression and its consequences, but is determined to transcend them. However, excusing the offense may diminish its gravity or legitimize detrimental conduct, which can facilitate additional misconduct. Lewis emphasizes that genuine forgiveness is a conscious act of grace that endeavors to reconcile while upholding moral integrity. 30. Thirst was made for water, inquiry for truth. A metaphor of desire is employed by Lewis to illustrate the human pursuit of truth. We are compelled to pursue truth by our intellectual and spiritual curiosity, just as desire compels us to seek water for physical survival. This comparison serves to emphasize that truth is as indispensable to our intellectual and spiritual well-being as water is to our physical health. Exploration, inquiry, and comprehension are fundamental components of human nature and are indispensable for spiritual and intellectual development. 31. Faith is the art of holding on to things your reason has once accepted, in spite of your changing moods. Lewis provides a nuanced perspective on faith, describing it as a conscious and disciplined dedication to truths that are accepted by reason despite the presence of fluctuating emotions or circumstances. Faith is not a passive state in this context. Rather, it is an active exercise of will that necessitates persistence and effort to preserve belief in the face of doubts and obstacles. While reason serves as the foundation, this definition of faith recognizes that it necessitates continuous commitment and conformity to rational principles in order to maintain it. 32. We meet no ordinary people in our lives. Lewis argues that each person we encounter is valuable and distinctive, irrespective of their perceived insignificance or mundanity. I believe that each individual possesses a unique story, experiences, and potential that deserve recognition and respect. This perspective encourages us to recognize the intrinsic value of each individual and to transcend superficial appearances, recognizing the depth and richness that each person contributes to our lives. 33. Everyone thinks forgiveness is a lovely idea until he has something to forgive. The complexity of forgiveness is underscored by Lewis, who observes that despite its idealization as a virtuous virtue, it becomes significantly more difficult when we are personally impacted. The concept of forgiveness is easily embraced from a distance. However, the act of forgiving can be challenging and agonizing when confronted with genuine injustice or injury. The gap between the theoretical acceptance of forgiveness and the practical consequences of enacting it when we are the ones who are harmed is emphasized by this quote. 34. Integrity is doing the right thing even when no one is watching. Regardless of prospective rewards or external supervision, integrity is defined by Lewis as adherence to moral and ethical principles. True integrity entails adhering to one's values and principles, regardless of whether there are immediate repercussions or recognition. By emphasizing the significance of authenticity and consistency in our actions, this definition implies that integrity is a fundamental quality that governs our conduct in all situations. 35. Children are not a distraction from more important work. They are the most important work. This quote underscores the unparalleled significance of parenthood and child-rearing. The central and most significant responsibility of adults is the care and nurturing of children, according to Lewis, rather than a secondary or competing obligation. Lewis underscores the profound influence that parenting has on the future of children by acknowledging that children are the primary focus of a parent's existence. The scope of this obligation extends beyond the provision of material necessities. It encompasses the guidance, education, and affection of children in order to equip them with the necessary skills to confront the obstacles of life and to develop into responsible and compassionate individuals. 36. A children's story that can only be enjoyed by children is not a good children's story. The most effective children's stories, according to Lewis, should be appealing to both children and adults. The universal elements of a great children's story, including imagination, adventure, wisdom, and emotion, are designed to resonate with readers of all ages. Lewis underscores the enduring capacity of narrative to motivate and entertain individuals for the duration of their lives by emphasizing that a good story should captivate a wide audience. The timeless nature of great storytelling is reflected in his suggestion that the enchantment of well-crafted stories continues to be appreciated as we age. 37. True humility is not thinking less of yourself, it's thinking of yourself less. Rather than self-deprecation, Lewis redefines humility as a balanced perspective on oneself. To be truly humble, one must acknowledge their value without arrogance and prioritize others over oneself. The focus of this perspective is shifted from self-interest and ego to the demands and well-being of others. Lewis promotes a spirit of service and compassion by proposing that humility is the act of thinking less of oneself with an emphasis on others rather than one's own personality or accomplishments. This perspective rejects the notion that humility is synonymous with low self-esteem, instead suggesting that it is a harmonious combination of altruism and self-respect. The compilation of quotations provides a veritable tapestry of insights into the human condition, morality, and faith. Collectively, these quotes underscore the significance of pursuing authenticity, integrity, and truth. Lewis promotes a more profound comprehension of the world and ourselves, with a particular emphasis on empathy, compassion, and love. Additionally, he emphasizes that genuine pleasure and fulfillment are not to be found in material success, but rather in meaningful relationships, service to others, and connection with the divine. Lewis reminds us that the journey of life is about the pursuit of transcendence, purpose, and meaning, and he encourages us to confront the obstacles of life with courage and dedication to truth, virtue, and beauty. If you enjoyed this exploration of C.S. Lewis's profound insights, make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more thought-provoking content. Don't forget to hit the notification bell so you never miss out on our latest videos. Thank you for watching.